Hello everyone. I'm going to finalize the enemy name thing, the enemy stats, I think? Is it stats? No, I don't think it's stats. I think it's enemy names. So I think this is part 3 of enemy names, and yeah. So what I've done is, so let me go from the beginning and how the function is going to be called. So whenever the player selects the first option and then the main menu, he can choose to continue his adventure, and it has a chance of calling the random encounter function. The random encounter function will have 3 cases, which will be battle, rest, and shop. So in case it is a battle, it's going to call random battle. Random battle will call battle with a new enemy object, and so when this enemy object is created, this is what we're going to show now. So the enemy object, so it's going to generate these variables right in the beginning. It's going to call the constructor. That's right. It's going to call the constructor, and the constructor will take a name. Now the name in this case is the enemy type. Alright, so if you see here on game logic, it's enemies.length, and enemies.length here on top is it's enemies.length, whatever. So it's enemies, the string enemies, and so in this case I'm going to put beasts because that's the only one I've programmed for now. So it's going to take beast here, and the player experience, which is in the beginning is going to be 0. It's going to create the enemy object, and so this player XP, we're going to set it as the player XP from here. And now here's the thing, if you remember from last video, if you watched it, there's different names that enemies can be. So the enemies can be, like, for example, in beasts they can be rat, dogs, lizard, whatever. They can be of a certain element, and they can have certain modifiers to their status. Okay, they all have names. Okay, so here on the enemy new object we're going to create, it's going to create a new object with a new object enemy name, and we're going to set their full name to this object's full name. So when this object is called, it's going to take the type, so in this case beast, and so since it takes beast, which is their type, it's going to set its type to the type that it got from outside, and it will set its full name to set name. Alright, to the function set name. So it's going to call this function set name. It's a string function, and so it creates a return name. So we're going to return this name in the end of the function. So it's set to be empty in the beginning, and we created 3 array lists, 1 array for the first name, for the middle name, and for the last name. So this is all local. All right, they're all local arrays, and also for their weights. So we're going like to kind of connect these 2 arrays, and in the logic, it's not really a 2-dimensional array, but we're going to imagine it as a 2-dimensional array. So of course this weight first is for the first name, and the middle name is for the middle, and so on. So if enemy type is beast, it's going to run this code here. So here are the stat modifiers. So we're going to add to the first name array list these names. So it's going to add to this array list these names, and then here for the elemental, you're gonna add these. So this is a different array list. So, and then the last name, which is the actual creature name, it's going to add to the third array list. Here, last name. It's going to add these names to the last name. So now you have three array lists, and each of them have their names accordingly. This yellow line here is because like you can just declare it as a diamond, because I don't really know what's the difference, so I'm not gonna do that. So now, oh yeah, and while they do that, they also add their weight to their respective indexes. So, for example, so like we have the first name string array list, and then the weight first integer array list. So like you have like here the string array and the integer array. All right. So let's say like in the first array you're going to have like furl, and then I row this side. That's an actual word, by the way. Anyway, so you have these, and so let's say you're gonna add all, of course you're gonna add all of them. So you add furl for the first one, you add 20. Okay, and the integer array list. Okay, so the string array, first name, integer for the second array list, and 20, and you're gonna do this all on and on until it reaches a total of 100. All right, so the total is 100. It's like 100%. Okay, so you have the weight and the names. So we're going to set a string called first string, and we're going to call the function select name, and we're going to put the first name array and the weight first array. So we're going to call the first array, which is the first name array, and the weight first array as well, and we're going to set this to false. This is a boolean variable. We're going to use it in the logic. So for the first two times it's false, and for the third time it's true. So we have two arrays as the input for the function, and alright, so here's the names and here's the weight. So how long has it been? 8 minutes. Let me take a break. I need to breathe a little bit. Alright, so takes the arrays, for the array for the name and the array for the weight. The indexes are the same, so the index for the first name for like furl is 20. For whatever index it is, it's the same for the index in both arrays. So we're going to set here a different set of local arrays, because if you don't, it doesn't work out. I think this is I read somewhere this is like, well, I think it was in Stack Overflow. These array lists, they can't really be called inside the logic, so you have to actually set them again inside as a different array. So it says like names local, weight local. So this becomes this, and this becomes this. So, and then we have a full list. This full list, I'm using it as the full 100 names of the names. Okay, so, and we set a random integer, a random whatever. This is going to be called for the random functions. I don't really know what this is exactly. So we're going to call a for function, a for loop, starting at 0, and it's going to end as much as the size of names is. So for example, in the first case, it's going to run 9 times. This for loop is going to be called 9 times. Okay, we have a boolean is name. This is going to be used as a percentage of chance. So will be used as a percentage of chance that must be achieved to generate the name. All right. So let's say like here. So this is just a filler. So in the game logic, in Act 1, and in each of the acts, they're going to have different chances of these these names happening. So so let's say here we're going to set isName as a function call of isName by a number of 95. Alright, so let's go to the function isName. Here's the function isName. So isName takes a number, 95 in this case. We're going to generate a random number from 1 until 100. Okay, and oh, it should be actually 0. Just realized it has to be 0 because we have index 0 as well. We have to generate a number between 0 and 100. 0 and 100. 0 and 99 actually. Okay. Oh, technically we can just that's it, I guess. And no, wait, it's not here that I should do that. Never mind, guys. Forget about that. So it's gonna regenerate a number between 1 and 100, and if the number is less than the chance, so in this case 95, it will set it will return a true. If it doesn't return less than 95, it's false. So you can set whenever you're gonna call this function, you can set it as like a 20, 50, whatever, depending on the act you're on. The greater the act, the more chance of them occurring, of course. Okay, so here, this is where we're gonna use is last name, which is this the third parameter in the function. If is last name is true, we set is name as true. Okay, so in case we are like on the third, the third execution of this function, which will be the third name, which is the actual name, because we don't want a creature that's like a mutated cryo. What's a mutated cryo? I don't know. It has to be like a mutated cryo rat or whatever it is. So in case it is being called the third time being called, we're going to set it as true. Anyway, so even if this fails, it's going to be set as true. And so if is name is true, because like in the first two names it can be false. If it's false, it's going to return empty, and if it's true, it's going to execute another loop. Yeah. Oh, and if it is true, so we have a variable j starts at 0 and wait local dot get I. So wait local dot get I. So what this does is like we have the wait array, so it has the same number of indexes as the names array. So let's say you have three variables. You have names. You have three different names. So you have like rat, dog, and I don't know, lizard. Okay, so rat, dog, lizard. And on the wait array you have 20, 40, and 20, 40, 40. Okay, so when the first name is being called, it's going to execute 20 times, because rat is 20, the second time is 40, the third time is 40. So this is getting the value of the index of wait local, which is the same as which the index is equal to the named local. So I don't think it can be more clear than this. Maybe I could have written it, but I think that's a pretty good enough explanation. So yeah, so it's going to be called as many times as the value of that index. So either 20, 40, 10 times, and it's going to add to the full list the respective name. So it's going to add rat 20 times, going to add lizard 40 times to this array. So until you have a total of 100 names in this full list array list. And I was just using it for a breakpoint. And yeah, so here we're going to generate a random array selector. We're going to we can just call this index, for example. So it will generate a number between 1. Actually, we'll generate a number equal to array size. So it's going to take the full list and it's going to generate an int based on full list that's on the size of full list, which is 100. So it's going to generate between 0 and 99, I believe. And string, we declared a return string, and we're going to initialize it here. So if is last name, we're just going to generate this return string as it is, so as it is in the array list. And if it's not last name, it's going to generate whatever name it is with a space on the side. Okay, so like the names are not glued to each other. And then finally it returns return string. Now back to, why is it giving an error? Here. So back to set name function. So it's going to be, this whole code is going to be executed 3 times, and then we will add, each time they are executed, we add the returned name to, we add the whatever string it is to return name, which is the return of this function, which is a string. So it's going to return, and finally it will return its name, and the full name will be set to whatever this function returned. So let's show you guys. I would show the debugging to be more clear of how it's happening, but if you're interested, you can just go to the repository. I'll put the link below. I should put the link in all videos. I'll do that later. So here, so many guys have. Yeah, so let's continue our descent. We got a rest and a new one here, and anyway. So as you can see, generated cryo Reagan. We're gonna go in. Gunning lizard. Okay. Unbreakable electrified raven. So as you can see, it's working fine. It can generate it could also generate a single name enemy, but the chance is too high for these two happening. So it's going to be like very hard in this case, in this test case, for it to generate a single name creature. So yeah, thank you for watching this.